Have you ever noticed, close to election times, you get a lot of phone calls from people who are asking you questions? I mean, some of them are right out about it. Are you going to support our party? Okay, well, it's a good question. I like it when I get a straight question like that because then I know exactly who's asking and why they want the vote. What I will tell you though, this is a little secret that is almost completely unknown. There are no volunteers working for the Conservative Party at all. Not one. Not in your province. Now you're probably thinking to yourself, well, why is that? Here's the deal. Those majority of the people who like to vote Conservative have better things to do than walk around neighborhoods trying to sell an idea for nothing. If they can get paid for it, they'd much rather do that. So they will do everything from, if they're truck drivers, driving a truck, to running farms. They will continue to do the job that pays them money. Why should they stop? Simple enough. I'm self-interested. I make money. I look after myself, Jack. And that's the general attitude. Well, people who are not conservatives, that's the NDP, the Greens, and the Liberals, will self-sacrifice because they realize that what they're actually doing is trying to do something for the betterment of everybody, and sometimes that requires to give of yourself. In fact, sometimes it requires a lot more than just a little giving. So, that's what they do. Now, you're probably wondering, well, how do conservatives ever win then? Well, there are two things that they do. First, they count on family traditions, long-term patterns. You've been voting the way you've been voting most of your life because your father did it and his father did it, and maybe his father before him. And if you do that, then I want you to go back to the time of your great-grandfather, whatever date that is. I want you to figure out when he was at least, say, 30. Find the nearest election to that and see what his party, the one that you're still voting for, was talking about. Because I bet it's going to be completely different from the one that you think you're supporting now. See, the Conservative Party's been hijacked, by a bunch of rich people? Oh yeah, make no mistake about that. That's why they did it. Because it's always been the party of the very wealthy. They always wanted it to be. There's no doubt. But anyway, that's a story that's a history lesson, and I'll leave that for another day. More importantly, I want you to know what your great-grandparents were actually thinking about, why you started this family tradition. You see, it's not going to be what you think you're voting for today. And that's going to make you say, well, who actually represents what I'm voting for today? And that means you're going to have to go and look at what the other three parties represent. One of them did not exist at all more than a few years ago. That's the Green Party, and they're simply trying to change the world, make it a better place. The Liberals have been around a long, 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 long time. They've also been known as Whigs, which means Scottish pumpkin if you dig deep enough. But anyway, it's the old party of the non-favored people by the king. And then the Conservatives, who are the ones favored by the king. So, what I want you to do then, now that you know how far back to go and what to do, I want you to think really hard about what your great-grandparent would do in your shoes today. Would they still vote the way you are? Or would they vote against it because of the ideas that are involved? Now, I started by telling you there are almost none of the people who vote who are conservatives who are ever volunteers. And I can tell you this because I know how they actually do it. The second routine that they use is what's called market research. They'd like you to think it's market research, but it's not. We go, and I say we because I did this once on their behalf. Yes, they paid me to do it. I got on the phone with a bank of other people, and we phoned voters in swing ridings who were randomly chosen. Random? Really? No. There is nothing random about it. These are the people that we found out first weren't necessarily tied to a party. They were the undecided, 15%. And we targeted them. Now, how did we target them? We phoned them with a series of about 13 questions. We asked if we could speak with them first, and gave them an information about who we were and where we were from, and told them that we were doing market research. And then our questions were designed to lead the individual to think about the policies of the Conservative Party, and to make them believe, whether they were true or not, that that party was the one you should vote for. So, come the next provincial or federal election, if you get any phone calls from market research companies for about the first 6 months in advance of it, just hang up. Because that's all they're there to do. They're there to convince the 15% of you who do not stick with any one party that you should stick with the Conservatives. My name's Patrick Stewart. I've been there, done it, got the t-shirt. And I wish I hadn't.